Good morning! Sitting in for Gretchen Ho, my name is Pauline Verzosa. It is Friday, the 7th of March, and we're bringing you Morning Matters because your mornings matter. And here are the stories that matter today. Pope Francis's health continues to improve almost 3 weeks after being hospitalized due to double pneumonia. President Bongbong Marcos said the Cabagan-Santa Maria Bridge collapsed due to a design flaw. He blamed cost-cutting after the budget was reduced from 1.8 billion pesos to nearly just 1 billion pesos. A new survey from SWS showed 70% of respondents would surely vote for a candidate with an anti-corruption stance. And The Kingdom, starring Bossing Vic Soto and Piolo Pascual, is ready for the international scene. The Kingdom is one of the Filipino movies being featured at the Manila International Film Festival in Los Angeles. Welcome to our program, Morning Matters, where we talk about the issues you need to know for the rest of your day. Now, first on the agenda, Pope Francis's condition continues to improve after being hospitalized for nearly 3 weeks due to double pneumonia. And now let's get more details from Gretchen Ho, who joins us live from Rome. Hi, Gretchen. Good morning. This is certainly good news to wake up to after days and weeks of uncertainty on the Pope's condition. Tell us more about this.
Alina, good morning to you once again. That's right. We are greeting Friday with some good news. In the first, after 3 weeks of being hospitalized, the Catholic faithful heard the Pope's voice in an audio recorded message played at the nightly rosary in St. Peter's Square, thanking everyone for their prayers. Here's the latest on Pope Francis.
Agradezco de todo corazón las oraciones que hace por mi salud desde la plaza. Los acompaño desde acá. Que Dios los bendiga y que la Virgen cuide. Gracias.
Though he seems to be weak and out of breath, Pope Francis eased the hearts and minds of many when he sent an audio recording during the nightly rosary led by cardinals at St. Peter's Square, thanking those who have been praying for him. The familiar voice brought solace to the Catholic faithful who have been missing their leader for about 3 weeks now, as Pope Francis remains hospitalized for double pneumonia. With most health updates coming from Vatican News, it's huge progress to hear from the 88-year-old pontiff himself. In the latest medical bulletin, the Pope continues to respond to respiratory and motor physiotherapy with beneficial effects and remains to be stable. There's no news, though, on whether he's still on high-flow oxygen or mechanical ventilator. One notable update was that the Pope managed to work yet again from his papal apartment at the Gemelli Hospital. In a deviation from the daily twice-a-day updates, the Vatican will also not give an update on Friday, Rome time, and will instead give its next word on Saturday. Things appear to be looking up for Pope Francis as he recovers from a series of respiratory crises.
This message from Pope Francis really touched me deeply in its simplicity, but also in the suffering that can be heard in his voice. So strained, yet so beautiful because it is close to us. We are human. He made me truly feel this humanity which is near.
Hearing the Pope's voice again is always an emotion, perhaps even more so now given his condition. We have been praying, hoping he recovers soon.
Alessia Reyes, a Filipina who works at the Vatican as officer in charge of volunteers for this Jubilee year, also recalls her experience with the Pope.
Indescribable experience, a mix of emotions. Kasi you just see him and sometimes I felt, for siguro first time ko, I felt really, let's say, nervous and excited at the same time. Kasi I'm gonna see, head of state, very humble, down to earth, and he's really concerned on every field that it regards the church. He asked me how I'm able to speak fluently Italian with a Roman accent. He found it so funny. And when I greeted him Buongiorno, Santo Padre. So you can hear really the difference, the diction, the tone of my voice, na very Italian with the Roman accent. So he was surprised and like, how are you able to speak fluently Italian with this accent? And I just explained to him na I was born and raised here in Rome. So he was surprised. He was surprised.
But he knew you were Filipino.
Yes, yes, yes.
The Jubilee Year, a special year when pilgrims from all over the world come to the Vatican for spiritual renewal, takes place once every 25 years. This year, as of February, the Vatican recorded 1.3 million people passing through the holy door of St. Peter's Basilica. They are expecting about 2.5 million for the Jubilee of the Youth. Catholics will be happy if the Pope is well enough to greet his audiences again.
He really loves to being with people and without the security. And I mean, the security is just there, but they're just apart. Parang ayaw niya na pagbawalin siya na to get close to them. So, especially he loves kids. Kaya in any audience or in any holy masses or in any apostolic trips, pag nakikita niya yung mga bata, gusto niya talagang i-bless.
Well, Pauline, that was Alessio Reyes, somebody who works right up there in the Vatican dealing with the volunteers of the Jubilee year. She had a lot of memories to talk about the Pope, very, very fond memories and encounters with him. And it's the same story for most of the people we talk to here at the Vatican. They do remember the Pope being open, being warm, being friendly, being personable, and giving them special attention. And speaking of working in the Vatican, there are those working in the Vatican who have told us that there are already speculations as to the real status of the Pope's health. And the audio recording that was released this evening and morning there actually put a stop to all those speculations and quelled the fears and the worries of so many Catholics trying to find where is the Pope, why hasn't he shown himself amid all of the health problems. So just hearing his voice, hearing him breathe through speaking, put some authenticity in there, and actually made a lot of people smile this evening and morning over there in the Philippines.
And I must say, Gretchen, even I myself, it was really heartwarming to hear finally the voice of Pope Francis once again, and even more heartwarming to hear those stories of people whose lives were touched by Pope Francis. But given this great news, Gretchen, on this Friday morning, with the Pope Francis's health condition improving, how is the atmosphere there in Roma, especially among the faithful and especially among Filipinos?
Tama yung tanong mo, kasi napansin namin na parang medyo gumaan yung pakiramdam ng mga tao dito lately because of this is, I think, the third day that he has been reported to be stable, so 3 consecutive days. But do remember that before the last respiratory attack, there were about 3 to 4 days wherein the Pope was actually stable. So the prognosis remains to be guarded. He's still under close watch, but the fact that he's able to finally send the message, kahit nangihina siya, nakapagsalita siya, nakapagbigay siya ng mensahe, and he's reported to be working inside his papal apartment. Those are good signs. And parang yung nag-interview tayo ng mga tao pa rin sa loob, meron tayong nakausap na Pinoy na Swiss Guard. Papakilala ko sa iyo yan in the next days. Pero mapapansin mo na kalmado sila. They're not worried. They're not on guard. They're not extra cautious about keeping a certain secret. So it seems to me that there is truth in what is being spoken about the Pope's health currently. So, nakakabuhay na loob. Talagang tama ka, bilang isang Katoliko at Kristiyano, nakakapanindik balahibo, to hear the Pope, to hear him speak gently, and still be grateful for all the prayers. And he was very specific in saying that I am with you at the square. Doon sa square kasi na yun, gabi-gabi, nagkakaroon ng rosaryo kasama ng mga cardinal, retired and current, and also those who would want to join the nightly prayer. So he's very specific to that. He didn't release it just to anybody else, but he sent that message to his own leadership Kasi hindi lahat ng nasa Vatican talaga nakakaalam no, sa state ni Pope Francis. It is kept to a close circle about how he really is. So it sends a message, a strong message that he sent that voice recording in the nightly rosary with all of the church leaders present.
Well, definitely a strong message of hope, and the whole world will continue praying for the full recovery of Pope Francis. But for now, thank you so much for giving us that great news heading into the weekend. Thank you very much, Morning Matters host Gretchen Ho, reporting live from Rome. Now we're just going to take a quick break, but when we return, let's talk about the health risks of extreme heat with lifestyle medicine specialist Dr. Dex Macalintal. Don't go away. Morning Matters will be back here on One News. Welcome back. I'm Pauline Verzosa, and you're still watching Morning Matters here on One News. Well, as temperatures continues to rise, so do cases of heat-related illnesses. And to talk about that and more, we are now joined by lifestyle medicine specialist, none other than Dr. Dex Macalintal, the resident doctor of One News. Welcome to Morning Matters, Doc.
Maraming salamat for inviting me over.
Yes, thank you also for coming here on a Friday morning. Doc, before we talk about these heat-related illnesses, I just wanted to ask about that report of Gretchen, right? It's great news to finally hear the voice of Pope Francis. He already was able to sit down. Nag-work pa nga daw siya a little bit, and he called his friend na pare sa Gaza. Is that a good sign, Doc, of things to come for Pope Francis?
It's a good sign na nakakapagsalita, nakakaupo, nakakatrabaho. Pero again, hindi tayo po pwede maging complacent sa ganitong pagkakataon kasi nga, sabi nga natin, itong mga nakarang araw, binabantay natin ni Gretchen yan, na okay siya, tapos biglang nagkakaroon pa rin ng bronchospasm. Although hindi naman siya sabi natin na magiging pangit yung ayaw natin nun. Hopeful tayo na mas maging okay yung status niya.
So, kumbaga, Doc, kailangan guarded pa rin tayo.
Definitely.
But for those who weren't able to catch your interview with Gretchen, double pneumonia, Doc, how serious is that?
It is serious, no? Kasi nga, dalawang lungs mo nagkakaroon ng pneumonia.
Okay.
Pwede kasing isang lung lang yung magkaroon ng pneumonia, isa lang yung bahagi ng lung mo yung magkaroon ng pneumonia. Pero ito, double kasi, or bilateral. Well, common din naman dito sa atin sa Pilipinas nagkakaroon ng ganyan. Pero sabi nga natin, yun yung mga tao na kumpleto yung bahagi ng lungs nila ay nagkakaroon din ng problema. Lalo pa ito si Pope na medyo frail, tapos may history siya na natanggalan ng isang bahagi ng kanyang lung.
So he's more susceptible to different illnesses, right, Doc? Pero how do you get pneumonia po ba? At ano yung usual recovery time niyan?
Ang pneumonia, nakukuha mo yun from viruses or bacteria or fungi.
From the environment?
Through the environment. Pwedeng may pneumonia yung kausap mo, nakahawakan ka, ganyan, pwede rin ganun. And then, yung recovery time, usually 2 to 4 weeks, pero some people would extend up to 10 to 12 weeks. Depende.
And treatment includes?
Treatment includes depende dun sa etiology or kung ano yung pinanggalingan. Halimbawa, if you have a bacterial type of pneumonia, you can give antibiotics. If you have fungal pneumonia, you should give yung antifungal. Kung viral, usually it goes away, pero kailangan supportive treatment.
Pero Doc, ako naniniwala ko, aside from medicine, aside from science, it's also the mental toughness, right? And as we see dito kay Pope Francis, yung yung passion din niya, I guess his love also for the Catholic faithful is what also helps him to recover,
Definitely.
diba? Yung mind is just as important as your body. Okay, Doc, so let's talk about heat-related illnesses. Napakainit na po.
Napakainit.
Nararamdaman niyo na rin ba?
Nararamdaman ko kanina, papunta pa lang ako dito sa studio, napakainit na talaga eh.
Correct. Kahit sa hapon, Doc, papansin ko, pag papunta kang trabaho, diba? Yung hirap na yung aircon na palamigin yung sasakyan, or nilalabas mo na lahat ng pamaypay mo. Although it's not yet officially the dry season, according to Pag-asa, but ito na nga, as early as the first week of March, we're starting to feel the heat. Ano-ano po ba ang mga heat-related illnesses na dapat nating bantayan.
Tatlo na lang muna, no? Yung una dyan is yung heat cramps. So cramps, isipin niyo mainit masyado and then nagkakaroon ng problema sa inyong mga cramps, no? Nagkakaroon ng muscle spasms, ganyan. And then ito, medyo masakit yung mga legs ninyo, masakit yung katawan, ganyan, dahil nga sa init. So usually, nagkakaroon kasi dyan, naglulose ka ng electrolytes, you lose water. Pero kapag medyo madami na yung nalulose mo, dito na papasok yung tinatawag natin na heat exhaustion.
Okay.
No, si heat exhaustion naman, ito, pagod na pagod, you really feel fatigued. No, minsan may konting nausea, may konting vomiting, sumasakit yung ulo, which is parang kumbaga parang nandiyan yung nandiyan ka sa gitna. Ayaw mo na magpo-progress yan kasi if it progresses, it could lead to heat stroke. Na ito detrimental to the health of people, no? So kapag ka nag-heat stroke ka, yan po pwedeng it may go down south. So kaya ayaw natin ng ganun. So you want to if you see someone na mukhang nagkakaroon ng heat exhaustion, yung nga signs ng ganyan, parang init na init, pawis na pawis, hindi na-regulate ng ayos ng katawan yung temperatura. Kaya ang nangyayari diyan, yun nga yung nararamdaman nila, kinakailangan tanggalin yung damit na masyadong makapal, no? And then inom ng tubig, no? And then kung po pwede bintawan or sponge bath kung po pwede, yelo, bigyan ng hangin.
Pwede ba yun, Doc? Yung parang naiinitan ka na tapos biglang ice, ganon?
Pwede naman, pwedeng yung maligam-gam muna, tapos unti-unti gagawin mo, lalagyan mo ng ice.
Right.
Yan, para bumaba yung temperatura.
Oo. Pero Doc, gaano ba katagal yung exposure sa init bago maramdaman itong mga heat cramps, heat exhaustion?
Depende sa temperature regulation ng katawan. So sometimes in 30 minutes nakakaramdam yung iba naman 2 hours, 3 hours. At saka depende din sa init ng panahon. So yan.
So it's important talaga na you monitor yourself, right?
Definitely.
What you're feeling. Nasa sayo kasi talaga yan, 'di ba? Yun na nga, the factor sa environment, yung temperature, yung hangin. Pero ito, Doc, ano po ba ang pwedeng gawin ng mga lalo na ng mga tao po na kailangan pa rin magtrabaho, kailangan lumabas kahit na sobrang init ng panahon?
Una, wear light clothes. And
Like,
the light-colored
clothes like what Doc Tex is wearing.
Ang init kasi.
Ako mali.
Tama din naman. Kasi
Okay lang to, Doc,
okay
mga
lang,
blue.
Yeah. Mga blue okay lang naman. Tapos light kasi yung
Kasi yes,
light.
yes.
At saka light-colored and light-fitting.
Right.
Yon. And then, iwas kayo sa mga may init na lugar. No, hanggat maaari. Pwede kayo magdala ng mga fans na nauuso naman ngayon. And then, inom na maraming tubig.
Water.
Para makatulong sa pagpapa-down-regulate ng ating temperature.
How much water, Doc?
8 to 12 glasses would be fine.
8 to 12?
Yes, for the general public.
Does it matter kung babae o lalaki?
No, it doesn't matter. Pare-pareho yan. 8 to 12 glasses. Pero, ang mga kailangan lang mag-ingat dito would be yung mga medyo may problem sa kidneys.
Ayun.
No, kasi medyo limited sila ng tubig. Also, kinakailangan din nilang malaman na wag naman langong-lango o lagok na kayo ng lagok ng tubig na more than 1 liter per hour. Kasi your kidneys might have a difficulty in regulating that.
So may proper time rin to...
Mas maganda may proper time pa rin, no? Lalo kung hindi naman kayo masyado naglo-lose ng water, hindi naman kayo nagpa-perspire, hindi kayo nag-sweat. Unti-unti, no? 1 glass of water every hour would be fine.
Ito, Doc, usually ang mga advice kasi, di ba, when you expose yourself to the sun and heat, to drink water, to drink electrolytes, to put on sunblock.
Yeah.
But, I mean, let's face it, sunblock is very expensive.
Yes.
Electrolytes are also very expensive. Actually, ang sunblock ngayon, kakakita ko lang sa supermarket, ang pinakamura siguro 400, 500 for a small bottle, right? How can we protect ourselves considering na with inflation and napakamahal na ng mga bilihin, ano yung mga alternatives na pwedeng gawin ng mga
alternative. Say for example, you have 1 liter of water.
Yes.
No, pwede ka maglagay diyan ng asin, no?
Asin?
Yes, asin at saka asukal ng onte.
Okay.
So titimplahan lang 'yon and then you have your ORS na.
Okay.
Yun lang yun, di ba? And then, pwede na, kung maglo-long sleeves kayo na medyo light yung colored, pwede na rin yun.
Basta loose fitting also.
Yeah, loose fitting.
Hindi naman yung hapit sa
Hindi naman hapit na hapit. Kasi
yung makakapal.
pagka makapal na makapal, dyan papasok yung mga mas mainit sa pakiramdam.
Correct.
Yun, para lang ma-protect yung katawan.
Coconut juice, Doc. Buko juice.
Buko juice is also okay. No? Pero kasi medyo diuretic eh. So, iihi ka pa rin eh. So, kung kailangan nyo lang talaga ng pang-replenish.
Right.
Just regular water would be fine.
Oo. Pero kayo, Doc, in the past few days and weeks, marami ka na bang na-treat na mga pasyente?
Marami-rami na yung naging heat exhaustion.
Heat exhaustion?
Yes, more of heat exhaustion. Parang masakit yung ulo, may kasamang tension headache, yan, lalo na nung tumaas yung temperatura natin.
But how do you rule out, how do you diagnose, Doc, na heat exhaustion nga yun? It's not just a simple migraine or something na hilo.
So sa history,
Sa
the patient
history,
was exposed to,
exposure, okay.
the patient was exposed to heat, and then naramdaman niya na ito na naramdaman.
Okay, Doc, punta naman tayo sa ibang mga health issues na kinakarap natin
Yes.
ngayon sa bansa. Dengue.
Dengue.
There
Meron
was
pa
a
din.
recent outbreak, right, in different cities here in the metro. Bakit po ba parang hindi naman na wet season, but you have a dengue outbreak?
Yes, meron pa rin kasi mga stagnant waters, no? So doon din kasi yung breeding grounds ng mga lamok eh. And then
Okay.
itong mga lamok na to, yan yung nagiging problema natin kasi vector-borne ang dengue.
Okay.
So kung hindi mai-eradicate, hindi matatanggal yung mga lamok na yan, yung mga ganyan, sa mga screens po ninyo, nakikita po ninyo yung mga gulong no, na pinamumugaran ng mga kitikiti na magiging lamok in the long run. Yan yung nagiging problema natin, kaya kinakailangan po natin talaga tanggalin yung mga ganyan, itapon, linisin, maglinis tayo ng paligid, nakikiusap na rin po kami sa inyo na tumulong na po tayo sa paglilinis ng ating paligid para makaiwas tayo sa mga ganitong klase ng sakit.
Para lang mas malinaw, Doc, sa mga viewers natin, no? Ano ba yung mga examples ng mga areas na posibleng magkaroon ng stagnant water na mamamahay yung mga lamok na may dengue?
Ito katulad ito, yung mga may drum.
Drum?
No? May mga drum, may mga gulong
Okay.
na mga lumang gulong
Yes.
ninyo. At saka basta't meron kayong makikita ng mga puddles dyan, yan po pwedeng pamugaran yan. Ito, may mga halaman kayo na nagkokolekta ng mga tubig. Yan, pwede pong pamugaran yan.
Dok, parang may narinig po ako na ang dengue din daw, hindi nag-thrive in dirty places, but sa mga malilinis pa daw na tubig.
Maaari din. No?
Pwede rin yun.
Kahit saan kasi kung saan mayroong tubig, stagnant water, pwede silang.
Paano yung mga flower vase, Doc, di ba? Or if you have different ornaments sa bahay na kailangan ng tubig, is
Well,
that...
that's why you have to clean it every day.
You have to practice naman talaga good cleaning habits,
habits,
right?
yes.
And good hygiene na rin in your home. Okay, Doc, ito naman din ang hand, foot and mouth diseases. Rampant ngayon yan,
Rampant
Doc.
din. Ang dami, no? Parang sunod-sunod, no?
Oo, oo nga.
parang dami, di ba? Parang one time you have dengue and then ito heat-related illnesses and then meron pa ring hand, foot and mouth disease.
Yeah.
This is because these are viruses kasi.
Okay.
Yung hand, foot and mouth disease is caused by a group of enteroviruses. Specifically, most common dyan yung Coxsackie A16. So itong virus na to, it can really spread, no, sa mga closely knit na mga lugar at saka pati sa mga schools ng mga bata. Kaya usually affected din dito mga bata, 5 and below. So nakikita dyan, usually lagnat lang, tapos generally feeling unwell, and then minsan magko-complain sila ng masakit yung mga throats nila. Akala nila acute tonsillopharyngitis or tonsillitis. Pero if you take a look at the hands, if you take a look at the feet, if you take a look at yung mouth area nila, yung oral cavity nila, merong mga ulcers na tinatawag natin. Parang mga bumps,
Okay.
mga rashes.
Yes.
No? So yan yung tinatawag natin na hand, foot, and mouth disease. Since it's a virus, supportive treatment lamang tayo dito. We don't usually give antibiotics unless there is a superimposed bacterial infection, which we see sometimes sa mga oral cavity nila na apektuhan na din yung tonsils and then nagkakaroon ng nana. That's the only time. Pero generally, no, sa most people, it would go away mga 7 to 10 days, nawawala naman.
And sino po ang pinaka-susceptible dyan, Doc? Mga bata
Mga
talaga.
bata talaga.
So pag mga adults, hindi masyado, Doc?
Meron
Mas
pa
may
din.
resistensya ba tayo, Doc?
May resistensya pero meron pa rin nagkakaroon.
Okay.
So you don't take your guards down.
So how can we protect ourselves, Doc? Even with dengue, no? I mean, is vaccination still the way to go?
Well, vaccination is there, no? Pero kasi kahit mag-vaccine ka kasi naririyan pa rin yung mga ibang mga factors. Say for example, your exposures pa rin. And then ang pinakamaganda pa rin dyan is yung hand washing, no? Personal hygiene. Dyan pa rin naman siya papasok. Lahat pa rin dun at dun pupunta.
Okay, Doc, ito po. Since it is March, it is Women's Month,
Yes.
right?
Happy Women's Month.
Thank you po. No, but I really wanted to get your thoughts on this, Doc. No? Ano po ba yung mga iba't ibang sakit na mas sa mga kababaihan na dapat binabantayan po namin?
Ang number one cause of death pa rin kasi sa mga kababaihan at saka sa mga lalaki din are heart disease. So bantayin po ninyo mga puso niyo, mga kapatid. Pangalawa,
Sa mga sakit
sa
ng,
mga sakit ng puso.
okay po.
At saka yung hindi na rin yung mga makakasakit na rin.
Oh, yun.
Pangalawa would be neoplasms. No?
Okay.
Dito na napapasok yung mga cancers natin. So, definitely, ang number one cause pa rin ng cancer sa babae is the breast cancer, no? Colorectal cancer is the second. Third is yung cervical cancer, and then lung, and then ovary. So, syempre sa babae, breast and yung cervical cancer.
Cervical
So, dapat dito nagpapascreen yung mga babae. No?
How often, Doc?
How often? Every 2 years. For breast cancer, every 2 years once you reach 40 and above. No? And then for the cervical cancer naman, when you reach 21 to 29, every 3 years. No? And then when you reach 30 and above, dyan papasok yung every 5 years. Pero ito, meron ditong HPV testing na rin. So, yun.
Kayo, Doc, you are a lifestyle medicine specialist.
Yeah.
What lifestyle habits can help reduce your risks of getting these illnesses?
Number 1, pa-vaccine, no? Lalo yung sa
Vaccine.
HPV.
Okay.
No? Number 2 is yun nga, screening para makita natin kung magkakaroon ng problema. Pangatlo, hindi mawawala yung pagkain ng tama. Diyan pa rin papasok yung pagkain mo ng gulay, pagkain mo ng prutas. These are antioxidant-rich foods which can help you reduce your risk for inflammation. No? And then, iwas sa mga processed foods kasi ito yung mga high grade na nagkakaroon ng cancer. Or yung sa WHO grading, mataas yung grading niya na linked sa pagkakaroon ng cancer. And then exercise. Definitely, kailangan nyo na exercise kasi nakatulong po sa pagpapababa ng timbang ang ehersisyo at nakatulong din po sa metabolismo ninyo ang ehersisyo. Umiwas na sa mga bisyo kasi walang magagawang mabuti yan sa mga buhay.
Kailangan gumalaw-galaw.
Galaw-galaw.
Pero that's interesting, Doc, no? Because even what you put inside your body, what you eat, can
Yes.
affect your
organs.
na hindi naman talaga directly sa tiyan mo.
Yes, tama. Kasi your exposures dun sa mga chemicals, your exposures sa lahat ng kinakain mo, kasama yun. No? So, it's a collective thing pagdating sa ganyan. So, tama yun. Parang kumain ng tama para buhay ay humaba. Gumalaw-galaw para hindi agad pumanap. Umiwas sa stress, mga best. Umiwas sa bisyo, walang mabuting magagawa sa buhay nyo at matulog kayo na mahimbing.
Ganda talaga ng mga advice ni Doc Dex. But for now, thank you very much for joining us here on Morning Matters, Doc. Makakatulong po talaga lahat ng advice nyo. And we'd love to have you again next time. Let's talk about other topics rin. But for now, that was Lifestyle Medicine Specialist, Dr. Dex Makalintal. Now, don't go away. We still have more matters to discuss right after the break. Keep it here on One News.
All right.
Welcome back. You're still watching Morning Matters here on One News. President Bongbong Marcos blames the collapse of a bridge in Isabela on design flaw caused by budget cuts. Here's that report.
President Bongbong Marcos inspected the Cabagan Santa Maria Bridge that collapsed in Isabela. He blamed the bridge's flawed design.
Ang ending nito, ang punot-dulo nito, design flaw. It is a design flaw. Mali yung design. Ito lang ang suspension bridge na nakita ko sa buong mundo na hindi kable. At yan na mismo ang bumigay.
The cables the president was referring to are the bridge's support cables. Though in an earlier interview, DPWH Secretary Manny Bonoan said that while the bridge design did have cables, solid steel and not cable strands were used. Cable strands are mainly used for suspension bridges. The president also said that the original budget for the bridge construction was cut. From 1.8 billion pesos, it was cut to less than 1 billion in order to save.
Binawasan to under 1 billion para makamura. Ayan, inayos ngayon, ginawa ngayon yung detailed design. Design is really weak.
The Cabagan Santa Maria Bridge project started in 2014. It was completed in 2018, but the bridge was not immediately open to the public due to design adjustments. In 2022, the bridge had to be retrofitted to comply with the DPWH's new design code. It was finally opened last February 1, but only to light vehicles. On February 27, 3 trucks reportedly used the bridge before it collapsed.
Bakit tinapos pa ito sa panahon ni dating Pangulong Duterte at sinasabi pa nilang Duterte legacy ito?
An investigation into this incident continues.
Meantime, House Deputy Majority Leader Representative Paulo Ortega V has exposed more questionable names allegedly linked to the office of the Vice President's confidential funds. Among the newly discovered names are Pia Piatos Lim and Renan Piatos, which resemble the previously flagged Mary Grace Piatos. Another name, Xiaome Ocho, appears to be inspired by a cell phone brand. Now, Ortega questioned the legitimacy of these names, noting that none have birth, marriage, nor death records from the Philippine Statistics Authority. The PSA reviewed 1,992 names associated with the OVP's confidential funds, but only found 670 with possible matches in their records. And now to discuss this issue and other matters, we have Senator Coco Pimentel joining us on the program this morning. He joins us live on the phone. Hi, Senator Coco, and thank you for joining us.
Good morning, Pauline, and to everyone listening to us. Magandang umaga po sa lahat.
Magandang umaga din po sa inyo, Senator. Unahin na po natin, ano po ang reaksyon nyo to these newly discovered names that are allegedly linked to the OVP's confidential funds?
Can I be excused from reacting as I'm a potential senator judge in the impeachment?
Okay, we understand, Senator. All right, speaking of the impeachment, Senator, we all know you're the most vocal on this case. You've been pushing to follow the Constitution. At naglabas na nga po ang Senate President ng timeline para dyan. Are you happy or are you satisfied with the calendar, Senator?
Well, the calendar proposed by the Senate President still starts on June 2, 2025. So that is precisely my objection, that we could start earlier than June 2 because we do not need to wait for Senate to be in legislative session. We can always formally pa rin, we can formally and officially open the Senate as an impeachment court. So, yun. So, we do not have to wait for June 2, and we do not need for the President to call the so-called special session because this is, what we need to hold is a Senate-only session because we do not need to inconvenience the House because the House is not the Senate it's not the impeachment court. Only the Senate is. So let us not get confused with the so-called special session, which refers to calling for a legislative session which involves the Senate and the House. What the Senate needs to do is to convene to call a Senate-only session. Senate-only, hindi na namin kailangan bulabugin pa ang House. That's why those who are justifying the situation take advantage of the term special session because that is found in the Constitution, but that refers to a special legislative session where both houses are called back to their plenary, to their session hall so that they will have session. Hindi yan yung solusyon. Ang solusyon namin is a Senate-only session. And then we will now formally declare that we are now, the body now is the Senate Impeachment Court.
Pero Senator, ahead of that special Senate session that you are planning to propose or you're pushing for, itong all-Senator caucus na float nyo po 2 weeks ago, is that something you are also still trying to encourage your colleagues at the Senate to do?
Because of the differences of opinions, I suggested the calling of a caucus so that we can preliminarily discuss the issue. Eh, nakalipas ng mahabang panahon na rin. I think 2 to 3 weeks have already passed since my original proposal. So we are wasting a lot of time. And we have been debating forthwith. Alam mo yung word na forthwith na nasa Constitution?
Yes.
Yes, just for the word forthwith, we have already spent 1 month. So, nakalipas na isang buwan. Oh, wala
No,
pa rin,
I
wala pa
agree,
rin,
Senator, no?
wala pa
Ang daming
rin action. Oh.
Ang daming debate, discussions already on the term forthwith. But as we understand, we were interviewing also different legal luminaries on that matter. At sabi naman po nila kasi, the power still ultimately falls on the Senate because you will be serving as the impeachment court. Pero matanong ko na lang din po, Senator, no, you previously offered to help draft the impeachment rules para dito, for the impeachment proceedings. Where are you in terms of that, Senator?
Tapos na.
Tapos na po.
Tapos na. I will just I just need to print it out and then maybe sign a cover letter and give it to the majority leader and the Senate President. Actually, I did not offer to draft the rules. I was just challenged by the majority leader, Senator Tolentino, who should actually be the one in charge, but maybe he's too busy campaigning. So, kaya nga. But madali lang naman. At saka, ang point ko, they diverted the attention to the rules as if the rules were the problem. Hindi. Yung existing Senate rules, nakasuccessfully try or nakasuccessfully hold na yan ng isang at least one impeachment case. So, the existing rules did not pose as a problem or an obstacle. But anyway, I have made some improvements. And then, but meron din ako ibang idea doon, but baka they will not accept it. But of course, I will propose it.
Senator, can you give us an idea of some of these changes that you are proposing? And how quickly did you draft these rules?
Maybe 2 days, two actual days of discussions with my staff. But of course, they have been studying the rules for siguro weeks na. Tsaka I've been studying the rules even in the Corona trial. So familiar na po ako doon. There are some words there that don't mean anything or are confusing, or maybe we can call them old English. So, i-update na po natin yun. Let's use ordinary English.
Senator, when the impeachment court of the Senate convenes, this is a quasi-judicial body, right? It won't really serve as a judicial court. But are the rules similar to that of a judicial court, Senator?
As much as possible, we should make the procedure and proceedings of the impeachment court look like the procedures and proceedings before the trial courts. As much as possible. We should not be too far or too strange from court proceedings. Wag ganon, kasi this is actually the Constitution uses the word trial. And that is really the business of courts, di ba? So, wag tayo masyadong lalayo dun. And the House designated a panel of prosecutors. The impeached official is entitled to counsel. So most likely, the persons appearing for the House and for the impeached official would be persons who also appear before the court. Ganun yun eh. So let us not invent too strange a procedure or a proceeding. So ganun lang tayo. We will look like a court proceeding, but since ang sinabi ng Constitution, trial by the Senate shall forthwith proceed, ang aking proposal is we do away with preliminary hearings or preliminary steps which delay or defer the date of the trial. Because if we really look at the spirit of the Constitution, mag-trial na agad. So trial na. Tanggalin na natin yung after. So we will give the impeached official the chance to answer, to file his or her answer. And then we will require, ito yung medyo new feature because I want, in my proposal, I want the impeached official to enter a plea of guilty or not guilty to each article of impeachment. Okay, hindi clear yan sa hindi yan clear sa present rules. But the present rules require the attendance or the presence of the impeached official, especially on the first day. So there must have been a reason bakit, di ba? So because the impeached official will be excused for the other trial dates. So okay ka na, you can opt not to attend, but of course you will be represented by your counsel or your lawyer. So, but on the first day you're required to attend. So there must be a reason why we are requiring you to attend. So yun na lang, nilagay ko yung reason, and it will now look like a court trial, diba? More on the criminal trial side. The impeached official will now be asked to enter his or her plea for each article of impeachment. And then I'm recommending that we do away with the reply. The panel of prosecutors do not need to reply to the answer of the impeached official, because what's the point? Nag-file na sila ng articles of impeachment, dapat comprehensive na yun. And allowing a reply will only delay the trial. The trial shall forthwith proceed. So ganon. So sa pronouncement ni Senate President, he keeps on mentioning judicial affidavit. Ako naman, I think kasi sa trial sa korte ngayon, the direct testimony is in the form of a written form, in a form of a judicial affidavit. Pero since itong impeachment is once in a blue moon lang naman ito and then this is public interest proceeding. So if the people will watch the trial where the direct testimony is in a judicial affidavit form, they will not be able to follow the story. So we will still require the submission of affidavits by the witnesses, but they will be presented the old way, the old style. Direct testimony, question and answer from counsel. So verbal. Yes. So those watching the proceedings can follow.
Yes.
So ganun, mga ganon. So marami tayong mga ibang ideas doon, but ano lang yun, just a little improvement na lang.
I just wanted to repeat what you said, Senator. One of the things that you're proposing, and I think this is quite important to highlight, is yun nga, the impeached official needs to answer to each article kung guilty or not guilty. But Senator, I also wanted to know, dito po kunwari sa mga confidential funds, itong mga pangalan na nahahanap na wala namang makitang record sa PSA, will she be compelled to disclose the identities, the real identities? Let's say kung ang ginamit lang po is fake na pangalan, will the impeached official, in this case the Vice President, need to disclose the identities here in the impeachment proceedings?
Lord, hindi connected yan sa entering a plea kasi you're talking about evidence already. So, pagdating sa evidence, it's the burden now of the panel of prosecutors. Ang tawag ata dyan is the burden. The burden of proof. If you allege something, you prove it. Ngayon, once na na-prove na yan, at gustong rebut or i-disprove ng affected party, then they will now have to present their evidence to overcome the evidence of the prosecution. So ganun lang yan. I'm just describing a normal court proceeding.
Okay.
That is the burden of proof. When you say
on the prosecution,
when you allege,
yes.
Basic ito. Pati sa defense, pati sa impeached official. When you're alleging something, you prove it. So, ganun lang yan.
No, I'm asking, Senator, because sinabi naman po ni VP Sara, diba, na she cannot disclose their identities kasi nga mga alias yan, mga informants yan. So that's why she didn't really disclose yung identities kahit sa mga House hearings. So I was wondering if she will be compelled now in an impeachment proceeding to disclose that. But okay, Senator, we're running out of time, but I also wanted to ask you something on a different matter. Senator Risa Ontiveros has said that she will nominate you po to serve as a member of the Commission on Appointments once Congress resumes on June 2. What are your thoughts on that, Senator? And can you share us more details on that?
Well, I thank Senator Risa Ontiveros for being so gracious, no, and allowing me to spend a little time, siguro just a month with the Commission on Appointments, just in case there were ad interim appointments made and to be submitted to the Commission on Appointments. So, yun lang po, because dapat kasi yung CA sharing kami ni Senator Risa sa 3 years, 1.5 years siya, 1.5 years ako, but hindi ko na po, I did not ask for my 1.5 years. I let her stay in the Commission on Appointments. So she's giving me at least the last month, just in case there have been ad interim appointments made by the President.
Okay, well, Senator, your term in the Senate will be ending, and you are running now for the midterm elections as a 1st District Representative. Mga ngamusta lang po kami, Senator, sa inyong paghahanda para sa inyong kampanya.
Yes, 1st District of Marikina City. Maganda, napakasaya ng local campaign. March 28 na naman officially mag-start. But nakikita ko magandang difference from national to local. Sa pagdating sa local, you get to know the people quite well. I mean, they become your friends.
Yes.
You see each other multiple times. So, unlike sa national, parang nadadaanan mo lang yung lugar. The next time you see the people you've met during the campaign would be, it's either you're already in office, di ba? Or tapos na yung election. But in a local campaign, napakasaya. You really get to know the people. And then, yung mga actual problems na alam kong problema ng taong bayan. Ngayon, kumpirmado talaga na tunay na problema ng taong bayan.
Senator, quickly, ano po yung mga problema na yon sa Marikina?
You meet people with actual problems. Alam mong talaga, health, kalusugan, marami talagang nangangailangan ng assistance sa mata. Alam niya, may mga problema sa mata. And then of course, marami tayong mga kababayan na immobile na, hindi na makalakad, so nasa bahay na lang po. So kailangan talaga isipin ng ating mga hospital, meron pala sila dapat unit na pang-outreach unit. Kaya ito yung, kasi ang hospital lang sa mind ko parang passive lang sila, may ER sila, then they wait for the patient. Pero dapat mga hospitals may outreach unit tayo, specialized outreach unit. You can have patients not in the hospital but in their homes. Andun yung mga pasyente na sa bahay kasi hindi na nga sila mobile. Marami yan. So we need to pay attention to this.
All right. Well, thank you very much for joining us this morning and sharing all your insights. That was Senator Coco Pimentel.
Thank you, Pauline. Bye-bye.
Don't go away. We will be back with more stories here on Morning Matters after the break. Welcome back. You're still watching Morning Matters here on One News. Supreme Court Associate Justice Antonio Co. Jr. wants the National Treasury to return the 60 billion peso excess funds already transmitted by the state insurer. During the third oral arguments on petitions against the fund transfer, Justice Co insisted that PhilHealth should have used this budget to broaden benefit packages for members. Health spokesperson Albert Domingo said PhilHealth has always been instructed to do so, and yet 3 presidents and over 10 leaders since its inception in 1995, nothing has happened. With this, Justice Ko suggested a complete leadership haul at PhilHealth to which former Finance Secretary Shelo Magno agreed in her interview on The Big Story. In other news, the Department of Information and Communications Technology Secretary Ivan John Uy has resigned from his post. Palace Press Officer Undersecretary Claire Castro said President Bongbong Marcos accepted his resignation yesterday. An officer in charge will temporarily lead the department until the president appoints a new secretary. Uy, who was appointed in June 2022, resigned just weeks after Malacanang named new heads for the Department of Transportation and the Presidential Communications Office. The Commission on Elections continues to receive complaints about illegal campaign materials. Over 2,000 notices have been sent to candidates and party list groups for violations. However, the poll body admits its hands are tied when it comes to filing cases against repeat offenders. COMELEC Chairman George Erwin Garcia explained that candidates repeatedly placed posters in different locations after receiving takedown notices. Due process gives them 3 days to comply, preventing an immediate declaration of guilt. Our 6 senatorial candidates, so far 6 senatorial candidates and 34 party list groups have received show cause orders for campaign material violations.
Sulat ka dito, doon nilalagay sa iba. Ang mga sulat, sila tatanggalin, susulatan. Because hanggang tinatanggal, walang declaration na siya ay guilty. Wala pa kasi tinanggal niya eh. Due process kasi 3 araw na yun eh.
Meantime, 7 in 10 Filipinos would likely vote for a candidate advocating for the eradication of corruption. A recent SWS survey shows that 70% of respondents said they would vote for a candidate with an anti-corruption stance. This figure was consistent with results from a previous survey conducted in January. The survey, commissioned by Stratbase ADR Institute, was released on February 28. Stratbase President Dindo Manhit said corruption is a daily burden on every Filipino, being more than just a political issue. Now in entertainment, Filipino film The Kingdom, starring Vic Soto and Piolo Pascual, wowed international audiences at the 2nd Manila International Film Festival in Hollywood. The movie was among the 16 films showcased at the festival. Following the screening at the TCL Chinese Theater, a talkback session was held where members of the media had a chance to talk with Piolo Pascual, Cedric Juan, and director Mike Tuviera. The film previously won Best Production Design and Best Visual Effects at the 50th Metro Manila Film Festival. And that's it for today's episode of Morning Matters. I'm Pauline Verzosa, sitting in for Gretchen Ho. We are One News, all sides, all the time. Have a good weekend.